Hey everyone, it's Rihanna and welcome back to another video. So today is going to be an update video on the 100-day film challenge. We're going to go from day 41 to day 60 and I am very excited to do this video. There are some films in here that I really loved and cannot wait to talk about. So on day 41 I watched the 80s fantasy film starring Warwick Davis, Willow. I had a lot of fun watching it, but it doesn't compare to films I love from the 80s such as Labyrinth with David Bowie. On day 42, after 21 years, I finally sat down and watched the classic E.T. the Extraterrestrial, directed by Steven Spielberg, and fell madly in love with it. After binge watching Stranger Things and then watching E.T., it's just been quite an 80s fest going on in my life and I loved it. E.T. was absolutely fantastic. What a timeless classic. I will rewatch it so many times now. Day 43 was kind of a low point considering I watched Sinbad, which is the DreamWorks animation. It really wasn't as good as some of their other animations, which include one of my favourites, which is Prince of Egypt. On day 44 I decided to sit down and watch another classic film that I hadn't watched that is really popular and everyone loves it, which is Top Gun starring Tom Cruise. Now, I didn't hate Tom Cruise in this film and that alone deserves at least 3 stars, and I had a lot of fun watching Top Gun as well. The music is so good in this film and you get very emotionally attached to these characters, so I had a lot of fun with Top Gun. On day 45 I watched The Cake Eaters on Amazon Prime Video starring Kristen Stewart. She gave a great performance in that. It's a little slice of life indie film. Really recommend it if you're a Kristen Stewart fan. On day 46 I watched the Ridley Scott film Kingdom of Heaven, which was insanely good. It's now one of my favourite historical political films. It was so good. On day 47 I watched the incredibly overly long Eat, Pray, Love, and oh, I didn't like that film at all. On day 48 I watched the newest Star Trek film, Star Trek Beyond. You can check out my review for it right here. On day 49 I watched an early Adam Sandler comedy, which is Happy Gilmore. I had a lot of fun with that one, back when Adam Sandler used to be funny. On day 50 I watched the 2015 Woody Allen film, which is Irrational Man starring Joaquin Phoenix and Emma Stone. It had a really overly long, annoying narration from Emma Stone. Usually I love her, but here the dialogue is just so Woody Allen intelligence, and you probably know what I mean if you've seen a lot of his films, but the twist at the end saved this film for me. On day 51 I watched the 2002 Star Trek Nemesis purely because Tom Hardy plays the villain in it. It was worth it. On day 52 I watched the Clouds of Sils Maria, which I'll be talking about in my recommendations. On day 53 I watched Panic Room, which I will also be talking about in my recommendations. Day 54 was Grimsby. I can't even begin to say how much I hated that film. So much. On day 55 it was okay because I watched Finding Dory, and I counted day 56 as the short film that came before Finding Dory, Piper, which was so good. On day 57 I watched a Netflix original film starring Ellen Page and Alison Janney, which is Tulula, which I'll also be talking about in my recommendations. Day 58 was the romance film Before We Go, directed by Chris Evans. Day 59 was She's Funny That Way starring Owen Wilson, which I'll be talking about in my recommendations. And we ended off day 60 with The Burning Plain starring Charlize Theron and Jennifer Lawrence. And somewhere between day 41 and day 60 I watched The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I didn't find that bad. I had a lot of fun with that film. I just can't remember where it goes in the list. So those were the 20 films I watched between day 41 and day 60. Now let's move on to my 4 recommendations out of those films. We start off with The Clouds of Sils Maria starring Kristen Stewart and Juliette Binoche. So The Clouds of Sils Maria is directed by Olivier Assayas and tells the story of a middle-aged actress who is kind of a burning ember. She is dwindling out of the spotlight and she doesn't really like to go into the celebrity culture. She doesn't really keep up with celebrity news, but she was a huge movie star back in her time. And that movie star is Maria Enders, played by Juliette Binoche, and she agrees to be a part of this play that is a revival of the play that got her into the industry in the first place. But she is playing the opposite role of what she used to play, and she's really stuck in her ways of this old character. Now this film very much reminded me of Alejandro González Iñárritu's Birdman. It's not as theatrical as Birdman, but it does have a lot of similar qualities. Juliette Binoche plays this character with such elegance and grace, but she's so stuck in her ways. She's stuck in the past and she's stuck in this character that got her into Hollywood. So when she starts working on the play, she thinks that the other actress who is playing her role is doing a completely awful job, and that actress is Chloe Grace Moretz. We used to have Kristen Stewart in the film, who plays Maria's assistant Valentine, who's a very open soul. She's open to social media, she keeps up with the media, and their two conflicting personalities are really interesting to see on screen. The dialogue that goes back and forth between them, which is most of the film, is super interesting and compelling. Asius's take on irrelevance in Hollywood is kind of a flipped version of Birdman. This feels very detailed and very intimate and very kind of metaphorical. There is a lot of metaphors in this film, both visually and verbally. As well as the script being very detailed and rich, this cinematography is so gorgeous in this film. It's literally a vision. It's so stunning. And also I'm a sucker for the play within a play, or a film within a film, or anything within anything type story. I'm a sucker for those stories. I think it's super interesting, and the class of Sils Maria does that so well. Next up on my recommendations is another film starring Kristen Stewart, and that is David Fincher's 2002 Panic Room, which is so underrated for a director like Fincher. It is really overlooked compared to his other films. And Panic Room basically tells the story of a mother and daughter. The mother is in the process of divorcing her husband. They move into a new house in the city, and these burglars, robbers, have hidden cash inside the house, and they didn't expect Jodie Foster's character and Kristen Stewart's character to be there when they came to get the cash. What the robbers don't know about this house is that there's an installed panic room where the mother and daughter can hide when they attack. This film is super intense. It takes place in one place, which is the house and in the panic room, and is super claustrophobic and super intense. It also stars Jared Leto and Forest Whitaker in the film, who play two of the robbers, and Fincher does such a great job of showing two different perspectives in this film. We have the mother and daughter who we sympathise with, and we really want Jodie Foster to bash Jared Leto's face in. And then we have Forest Whitaker, who just wants to look after his family. He gets this cash and he can look after his family. So you really kind of sympathise with the villains of this film. Well, mainly Forest Whitaker, not Jared Leto. My past 20 films, I actually watched Silence of the Lambs, which is another thriller starring Jodie Foster, and she just does it so well. She is strong and she is vulnerable, and I haven't watched a decent thriller since Silence of the Lambs, so I guess that isn't too far apart. But these were just two really great thrillers, and if you haven't seen it and you're a Fincher fan, you need to. Next up is a Netflix original film, which is called Tulula, which is directed by Sian Heder. It stars Ellen Page and Allison Janney. It's about this young woman who is in a relationship with this guy. They live in a van. They don't really like to stick with the normals of life, and basically she runs into trouble when her boyfriend leaves her, and she is put in the wrong place at the wrong time when this woman wants her to look after her little girl Maddie. And in a split decision, while the mother's getting drunk and smoking and not really taking care of Maddie, Ellen Page's character Lou decides to take the child and go to her ex-boyfriend's mother for help. Now this film is very unapologetic and takes a different perspective on motherhood. It's very much about the complexity of female characters, and I appreciate that so much. It has its light-hearted moments, but it also has its very dramatic moments and some really interesting imagery that you can interpret in your own way. And Netflix for me are really killing it with their original shows and their original films. I loved The Fundamentals of Caring, and I just recently watched The Little Prince, which was good, not my favourite, but for Netflix this was really great. Ellen Page gives such a vulnerable and honest and raw performance, as does Allison Janney, who is great in everything, and obviously they have so much chemistry from working together in Juno. And this film just gives a really cool range of perspectives of female characters. We have Tulula, who doesn't know who she is in life and doesn't know where she's going. We have Allison Janney's character, who's in the middle of a divorce and she's on her own. And then we have the mother of Maddie, who is just kind of the typical housewife who goes a little bit crazy and gets drunk and kind of feels like she's losing her flair. And it's really interesting seeing life from the perspectives of these three women. If you have a Netflix account, check this film out. It has a female writer and director. Ellen Page is great. Just watch it. And my fourth recommendation for what I've told you about in this video is She's Funny That Way, directed and written by Peter Bogdanovich. I think that's how you say his name. I'm butchering a lot of names recently. This film tells the story of Owen Wilson's character, who is a playwright called Arnold Albertson, who kind of has an obsession with escorts. He spends the night with them, takes them out, wines them, dines them, and then gives them a bunch of cash to change their life. And what he wasn't expecting was for his newest play that one of the escorts that he spent the night with is auditioning for a role. And things just start getting very chaotic and messy, as you can tell, because their paths cross again. Now, She's Funny That Way definitely had a Woody Allen film to its dialogue, to the way it looked. It has Owen Wilson in it, and I know he's not exactly Woody Allen alumni, but he also plays a screenwriter in Woody Allen's film Midnight in Paris. And She's Funny That Way feels very much like if Midnight in Paris was set in present day in New York, and that's what I loved about it. It reminded me so much of Midnight in Paris. And other than Owen Wilson, this film also stars Catherine Hahn, Imogen Poots and Jennifer Aniston, and they're all incredibly funny in their roles. I really liked Imogen Poots in this role. She played the escort that Owen Wilson gave the money to when she's auditioning for this new role in his play, and the way that it all plays out is just so clever and super funny. I just found it really refreshing to watch, and the fact that it wasn't in a Woody Allen film really confused me because it very much feels like him. But as I said with the Clouds of Sils Maria, I am very into things that are about plays, films within films, plays about plays, anything about writers. I will just fall madly in love with it, and I just think this one was just super chaotic and funny and just really refreshing to watch. So there you have it, guys. That is what I have been watching in my 100-day film challenge, and those were my 4 recommendations. Let me know if you've seen any of the films I've mentioned down below in the comments. And if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots more videos very soon. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you very soon. Bye!